story.
Farid Zakaria is blind. He says, how come a mother that committed these crimes left the kid before he went over and killed herself with her husband? Well, why Andrea Yates, a Christ-psychotic infected imbecile, drowned 5 children, one by one, in water? Why? Why don't you talk about that?
Old outside was playing.
Religion, see, Farid Zakaria is blind to the fact that religion is a mental illness. It's one of the schizophrenia. That's the problem.
Happened to stop in. Satisfied by what he saw at that dance.
See?
He wrote later of what he called the animal-like mixing of the sexes.
See?
The hall swarmed with legs. Lips met lips, chests met chests. The worst sight of all, he said, the outline of women's breasts in tight sweaters.
Religious psychosis deprives people from having sex and enjoying orgasm. This is the problem. That's the reason they want orgasm, all that, when they die in heaven, rewards by God.
See that? And why? All because of religion. The Christianity is so different. Christ psychosis. So all of them are the same. They're all Abrahamic faith. They're anti-sex, they're racist, they're pedophiles, they are moronic, they are anti-science pieces of garbage, and that is religion. And this is what Farid Zakaria doesn't understand. We are created by a spirit of semen DNA from our father's penis. Simple as that. That crazy brain. That's science. And if you believe in imaginary friends to be reality, you're religious schizophrenic. You are no different than a schizophrenic. Because religion is a form of organized schizophrenia. It's created in the brain. A religion is the acceptance of bizarre mythological beliefs, deluded mythologies to be reality. The same thing occurs in all neurological disorders like schizophrenia and temporal lobe epilepsy, bipolar disorder, and if you take drugs, psychoactive drugs, you will see the gods and you write Bibles and Qurans and Talmuds and all these crap of books. And this is what Farid Zakaria doesn't understand. He seems to be blind to reality. That religion is a mental illness. That's the problem. This is the problem of all this stuff. These are all people created Islam psychosis. There it is.
There was revolution. In rape.
See, he doesn't go at the core of the problem. These things don't happen in a vacuum. This thing happened by brain creating all this stuff, sick brains of people creating these things. Creating civilization. I mean, Farid Zakaria is an idiot. It is completely blind to these facts. You know, the brain is the one. Sick brain can only create sick thinking, and it causes all these problems. And religion is one of the schizophrenics. It's created in the brain. So all these activities, religions have crazy, stupid reasoning. You bow, you talk to imaginary friends, you telepathic communication with imaginary friends, and that's what prayers are. And this, all these sacred books in existence are created by people under drugs. And I'm talking about thousands of years ago. Why don't you just go to read the original? Go to Egypt and read the hieroglyphs and in the 4,000-year-old hieroglyphs and prayers and all that, which are the same thing of the ones in the Bible, the Quran, Talmud, Vedas, and all of them. Because all the mythologies written in stone 4,000 years ago, they are not altered, they're there, and all these stories that you see there are in all religious books of today. In all of them, same mythologies, a different century. And this is what Farid Zakaria doesn't understand. There are 8,000 languages spoken on the planet. These people are, look at this, they're all psychotic. They're believing in this psychotic, schizophrenic things of the past. And that's the truth, and Farid Zakaria don't understand it. Religion, in the moment that you define religion as a mental disorder, as one of the schizophrenia, everything will make sense, everything becomes clear. You don't have to say, oh, why they hate us. Farid Zakaria is an idiot. He's a very misguided, blind person, doesn't understand what's going on. And he says everything's in the brain. They never mention the brain.
Ideology, but we express it in a more refined way.
Can schizophrenia be expressed in a more refined way?
Where's the ideology come from? The brain. Like these idiots here. Look at all, these people are believers. These are all believers. They are in heaven. They believe they're in paradise, and that's the reason they in 9/11 they kill each other. There is not more obvious expression of one's faith and true belief when one kills oneself for one imaginary friends. So when you kill yourself for your God or imaginary friend, you're really expressing your true belief. You have faith. So if you kill yourself because you believe in life after death and all the paradise and all this stuff, and you're intellectual, you're not stupid. These people are not stupid. There were a lot of doctors and all that believing all this nonsense. And you express yourself by killing yourself because you are in heaven. Well, all these religious people kill themselves. They're going to be old and decrepit, and there's a sinful planet. Well, if they're going to be in eternal with God and all this stuff in heaven, kill yourself. If you're a true believer, just prove it. Kill yourself. So that when you're in heaven for eternity, you don't suffer disease, you're not in the sinful planet, you don't get old, and all that. You'll be with God for eternity. You're young for eternity. And this is the problem. It's all creations of the brain. Farid Zakaria doesn't mention that. And this is the problem.
1,000 people.
Getting the facts right when we return.
That we had one attack targeting a mosque in the city of Qatif in the east, an attack in Medina.
Today is 4th of July 2016.
There in the other side of Saudi Arabia.
See that?
The new details I have about that attack in Medina, this was not, as we were originally understood, not targeting a
brain HIV of God believes that nobody seems to see.
Security forces. Now we know that Saudi security forces in the past have been a target for ISIS.
All the religious psychotics are always fighting among each other. The Protestants against the Catholics, the Crusades,
suicide bomber,
Inquisitions, all the different sects of Christianity fighting each other.
Now, while we've been getting to
Islam psychotics fighting each other, the Hindus psychotics fighting each other, even Buddhists fought each other.
That was targeting a.
Hi friends, this is Calpun Piso. We cut. Brain is creating a thought. And today is 4th of July 2016. And the world is super crazy. There's Dhaka, Bangladesh, restaurant, all these killings by Islam psychotics, people that go to heaven by blow themselves up. United States, we have Orlando. Then we have recently, yesterday in Baghdad, over 200 people killed. And another explosion. Mosques. In the places of deep psychosis. Religious psychosis, which is radicalization. I'm going to talk today about radicalization. And of course, the brain disease, the virus that nobody seems to see, which is believe in imaginary friends, in gods, which is I for fever. Irrational belief acceptance. Imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief acceptance. At the core of all religions, psychosis and schizophrenia. Nobody seems to see that we create thoughts with our brains. The brain is responsible for actions, for our body, for moving our hands, for thinking, for speaking, for hearing things and all that. Creating structures, civilizations, technology, science, brains, also these irrational beliefs, which is one of the schizophrenia, because religious beliefs are the acceptance of imaginary friends to be reality. In other words, they accept bizarre metamagical beliefs, delusions to be reality, and are at the core of all religions, because in all religions you attempt to mental telepathy, communication with imaginary friends. These are prayers. And amazing that people don't seem to see that if the brain is is the organ that we create thinking with, responsible for speech. You know, when you have a heart attack and all that, you don't speak correctly. You have a stroke. You know, the brain is composed of all these little veins, and if some get blocked, then you suffer a stroke. And of course, you have attacks in the brain, epilepsy, the same thing. This rewiring. And temporal lobe epilepsy affecting your temporal lobes. It makes you see, it makes you be like in a trance. And you start seeing things. And the same thing happened to the founder of the Adventists, the psychotics, Ellen White, in about 1840s. And if you ingest entheogens, you have drugs that affect your brain. You know, the drugs are in flowers, in mushrooms, in food. And it's been like that for 40,000 years, and that's what all religions believes, and the concepts of God were created, because they affect your brain. And 40,000 years ago, they had no idea. They believed the things were real, and they were all in the brain, because they didn't have any science we have today. So today, psychosis and insanity is due to sick brains. It's a virus affecting the brain. It's born a virus in our genome 47 million years ago during our evolution, because we are composed of viruses and microbes and bacteria and all kind of things, and they affect our thoughts. That's a scientific fact, my friends. I didn't create that, I didn't invent it, I'm simply the messenger. 2 + 2 = 4. If you touch a flame, you get burned. If I take my remote control here and I drop it, I open my hands, what's going to happen? It falls. And why? Because, of course, gravity. All this discovered by science, it exists. So, do you believe in gravity? So as you can see that, these are reality. But if I start saying that, no, that for 300 years, we know that this forces, disembodied forces in the air, is going to take my remote out of this, and when I drop it, this force is going to take it, and it's going to impede it from falling. Do you believe that's true? And of course it's not. It's a concept. But nevertheless, people believe that it's God resurrected and saved with blood to save humanity from sin committed by a madman and a rib woman when they accepted a forbidden fruit from a talking snake in a garden. It's Christianity. All the Bibles are compendiums of mythologies. There are many, many Bibles. Quran is the same thing, compendium of mythologies. No different than the Greek mythology or the Egyptian mythology, the Assyrian mythology, all of those mythologies. And today we're in the 21st century. We're not the 12th century. So, as you can see, believing God is a mental illness. Now, this is all product of the brain, of course. This is the truth, because the brain creates thinking. If the brain doesn't create thoughts and it's not created, the brain itself created by a spit of a sperm DNA from our father's penis, if that was not the way we were created, then I stand corrected. Then I'm wrong. See? All religious beliefs have apophiba. Imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief acceptance. Apophiba. I created this. It's a word I created. Remember, there are 8,000 languages spoken on the planet today. Many people ignore that. So, apophiba imaginary friend of all irrational belief acceptance, which is also equivalent to bizarre metamagical beliefs, are at the core, and I repeat again, at the core, at the root, at the center, at the focus center, intersection of all religions, fundamentalism, mythologies, beliefs, dogma, faith, etc., and use the same word to describe what I'm telling you. Where are they created? Did you know? Of course, here. They're not created elsewhere. And all these bizarre mathematical beliefs, I for viva, at the core, the root of all religions, faith, that include conspiracy theories, because they are not based on, they don't have the evidence to back them up. See, all these I for viva, all these thoughts, at the root of all religions, are also at the root of all schizophrenias, temporal lobe epilepsy, bipolar disorder, mania, and other disorders that affect the brain, that gives you temporal lumbical interference, cognitive dissonance, sensory gating deficits. In other words, the five senses that we have the tactile, we have the gustatory, we have the olfactory, we have the visual, we have the auditory. All these senses, if they're not properly functionally corrected, and remember, we got it during the imprinting period when we emerged from our mother's cave and learned to navigate the planet with all these five senses. If they are faulty, and the mechanism and structures in the brain are faulty, they give you the wrong information. They make you see 2 + 2 equals to any number your wandering brain thinks it is, except for the truth, which is 4. This happens in all religious psychosis. That's why you cannot talk to a schizophrenic or religious psychotic. You cannot talk to them with rational thought and reality, because they wander around. They have cognitive dissonance, and they focus on dogma by their religious psychosis, the particular religious psychosis they were born into, and they will bring that with the languages that they were brought up into also. Might be Arabic, the many versions of Arabic, might be English, the many versions of it, might be Spanish, might be German, might be all these different languages, and with the beliefs of the parents. So therefore they will actually argue with you. And it's impossible. It's impossible to discuss reality concepts with a schizophrenic or a religious psychotic. There is faith, and there you have the nuts. Now, when a person is brought up, a little kid is brought up in this thing and uses the brain to navigate the planet, and you do not, you cannot tell between fact and fiction, and you're dividing, you keep learning and learning and learning. You're 5 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, the printing period, and you start thinking, start thinking in the religion to be true, because you're praying 5 times a day in Muslim psychosis, Islam psychosis, and in Christianity psychosis, you go to church and all that, and you keep believing that Jesus Christ is real. You don't know anything else because you focus only on the dogma. You are no different than a person that is infected with HIV/AIDS virus. No different. You are become HIV positive. HIV of the brain, virus of the brain, positive. And of course, you're not aware of it, because if science will tell you this and show you this, then you get rid of it, you dissipate it. But in the moment that you're bombarded with this crap, and nobody talks about the brain, and you believe in what you've been taught by your parents, you accept it as true. You are like HIV positive. So, What happens if you start acting your delusions of faith? That's what these people that are ignorant call radicalization. Then you become full-blown. It's like a person with full-blown AIDS. You see? It's very simple. If you go to church and you pray and you have you have the telepathic communication with your body, imaginary friends, which happen in all religions. If you go to mosque, synagogue, at Hindu temple, or whatever, and you believe in these things to be reality, then you believe and you don't act on them, then you are HIV positive, religious, HIV brain virus positive of faith. But see, like the suicide bombers, when you start reading the Quran and and then you start seeing that this is true. That actually you're going to, when you die, you're going to get rid of your body, and then you actually will get all these beautiful things. You get all the sex you want. All the sex is okay, no problem. You'll be with the Prophet Muhammad for eternity. Allah Akbar, God is great, and God is great, which is, it's orgasm, but it's forbidden when you're alive in here. But when you go to heaven, you get all the virgins, you get all this stuff, you can have sex with girls for eternity. And that belief, which is psychosis, has nothing to do with intelligence, because you can be very, very intelligent. These suicide bombers are very, very intelligent. Many are very, very intelligent. And that's the reason the Christ Academy people in the United States don't understand why they do it. And they have radicalization. That's not radicalization. It's people that become full-blown with the disorder of religious belief in God, with fever. You become full-blown with religion psychosis. And it happened in Christianity. It happened in Nazi Germany is a perfect example. Perfect example. Christian Hitler. The Jews were bad, and you keep telling people, and you are brought up in a Catholic or Protestant home, and all Europe is infected with Christianity, and this happens. And it's okay. In the United States of America, slavery is okay, and blacks are inferior because of the Christianity that tells you that. It's okay to own slaves. It's okay to rape all the Americans, the natives Americans, steal their money, steal their land, and all that, doing 1492 with Columbus, the psychopath. And it's okay. It's okay to go to bullfights and kill the bull, this animal, torture him to death, and enjoy and rejoice for that. It all comes from Christianity. You've been taught that this is okay. And when you start acting on it, and you're a bullfighter, you're killing the animal, you're throwing goats from the steeple of a church, or you're killing chickens, cutting their hairs in caparot, which is religious psychosis, it is okay. And you enjoy it. So you enjoy killing the infidel and cutting the heads off of Christians and the other Muslims and Islam psychology and all that, which ISIS is doing. So it's no radicalization, my friends. It's simply a full-blown virus of religious beliefs, HIV of the brain. It's a fact, because we create thought with the brain, not other organ. Keep that in mind. Nobody seems to see it.
Dhaka, Bangladesh, 22 people were killed in a 10-hour standoff.
Rockets were launched. They were aimed.
And notice, none of these people here, none of them, in any program mention the brain of the attackers or of the people that are being killed. No one mentions the brain at all. It's amazing. It's absolutely mind-boggling that nobody mentions the plane. It's like a plane crashing and all these people being killed, and nobody mentions the airplane in which the people were flying. They never, no question it. This is the problem. There you have it. See that? Look at this. All religious psychosis.
One hospital to another, to one Baghdad morgue to another.
And all this stuff happened, and these people are still Muslims. And still Islam psychotics.
Area looking for
happening in the United States, all the Christian psychotics, and the people are still Christian. They're still going to church. They still believe what the Bible said. These people believe all what the Quran says. The many Qurans. 73 sects in Islam. See that? They still believe it. They still pray. And they still, all this stuff happening due to a disorder. It's like people are getting cancer due to cigarette smoking, and they have emphysema, and they still smoke, and they still smoke, they're still puffing this stuff like that, and the cancer is destroying them in the lungs, and they still smoke. Semi-identical thing. No radicalization, but the cancer of the brain, HIV of the brain, God believe.
The Saudi coastline, a suicide bomber killed only himself after trying to detonate an explosive. And in eastern Saudi Arabia,
see? So religious. Islam psychotic. They'll go bananas.
Bomber attempted to
they're bombing all kind of stuff.
At a mosque area, also
this is just the beginning.
Himself. ISIS said to be the main suspect, as we've seen so many of these
just the beginning, guys.
Over the last 10 days or so. The coalition is
all thanks to religion. Religious psychosis, HIV of the brain, like I've been saying ad nauseum for years now.
For more attacks.
That's the key. The brain is the one creating all things.
Barbara, thank you so much.
It will continue to happen. Today is July 4th, 2016. Just the beginning. What's behind this? Religious psychosis. That's what's behind it. Idiots.
In Syria, Libya.
Idiots.
That they are lashing out elsewhere with more traditional terror attacks on civilians.
Idiots. It's all religion.
ISIS clearly has enormous
capability. They don't see it.
We've seen them successfully attack.
That's religious psychosis, brain HIV for you.
Bangladesh as well is that this may be part of a bigger strategic change, Brianna, from a military structure like we've seen.
It's all to religious psychosis. No one lets you. You ban these people from religious, put them in mental hospitals, all of them, define religion as a mental illness. This will continue to happen. Religion is one of these schizophrenias, and HIV of the brain, very dangerous cancer. Humanity will continue due to religious psychosis. If we would have been in the moon and different planets and eliminate all kind of diseases, if we didn't have this Christian crap that started in the 4th century, and all the religions, the so-called Abrahamic religions that started, if we didn't have that 1,000 years ago, you know, we would have been in the moon 1,000 years ago. There would be no religious psychosis now. Kids will be born in a very, very different type of world, and the population would be controlled. We wouldn't have all this climate change that we're having now, thanks to us doing it. 7 billion of us evolved mutated primates on this planet. So you require more food, you have more waste, plastics all over the place. Where the heck do you think the computers go to? TVs, the cars, the plastic chairs all over. All goes to the oceans and is thrown away by ignorant people that don't believe, they don't know any science. And you reproduce and have 5, 6, 10 children, 20 children because God tells you that. This is the problem. We are going to become extinct unless scientists get their head out of their ears and understand that religious beliefs is an HIV of the brain, the most dangerous psychopathy, the most dangerous brain virus ever. And it will make our species extinct unless we address it. We expose it. We realize what religion is. It's a danger of the brain. And it's a truth, my friends, because we create thoughts and thinking with the brain, nothing else. It's the only organ. The crazy brain can only crazy thinking. Truth will set you free. Pace Dior.